Greetings, Internet. Doing another set of videos today. Now, this one is a little bit This one's a little bit random again, but when have I not been random? Topics just tend to bounce around. So, this one actually is a little bit having to do with internet culture, and not just any internet culture, political internet culture. And oh boy, isn't that just the most fun place to be? Talking politics online. That sounds like a civil and reasonable discussion based entirely on fact, with no opinion or illogical insults or... I am not living in that. I am not living in that timeline, am I? Well, the thing I'm going to be talking about today, and it's going to be very strange, is the insult cuck. So that's a very... Alright, so let's go back to the origin of the word to talk about it. And first off, let me go ahead and say why I'm talking about it. Because I see it getting thrown around a lot. Like, it occasionally gets thrown around. I'm one of those weird people that digs through the comment section after an article. Like, I'll read an article online, and then I'll be like, oh, I wonder what people have to say about this article. And then, about 10 seconds in, I realize my mistake, but I just clearly have hit the point where I should have stopped, but let's just keep going anyways. And that basically sums up most of my relationships as well. So, powering through that, I'm one of those people that likes to dig through the comment section and kind of like read through all the things, because there's something absolutely fascinating about how people interact with each other in an online comment section, especially if they disagree with a person. If they agree, it's boring, because it's just like, oh, I think this, and everybody after them is like, good job! We're all gonna just, line up and get on our knees and give you family-friendly pats on the back from that position somehow. So, the word cuck gets thrown around a lot, and honestly, I was a little confused at first, because I'm like, that sounds like vaguely familiar, but I don't know why. And then I remember that I used to read a lot of a lot of historical fiction novels and everything like that, and I'm like, wait, wasn't that like something thrown around? Anywho, the point is that I look it up and I'm like, wasn't that like someone whose wife cheated on him and had a kid with another person? And I went on and I went ahead and I looked up the dictionary definition. As it turns out, that happens to be true. A cuck, which is a short for cuckold, is somebody whose wife or other, female significant other, and it is always a female significant other with this particular definition because of how it works. It's not like a weird, sexist thing. It's not like a weird sexist thing where everybody's like, oh, it's okay if the guy sleeps around. No. Oh, dear God, that's something I'll have to talk about on a later video, because everyone gets that thing frickin' wrong as well. I mean, yeah, there is a double standard involving that, but it is not at all what people portray it as. So, anywho. So, basically what it means is that if you're a man, then your wife gets knocked up with another man's child, and she says that it is yours. And this is its root word actually comes from the cuckoo bird that actually does this to other birds. It'll basically fly into a nest and kick the other eggs out and then lay one of its own eggs in there, and the cuckoo bird will actually hatch, and the bird mom will just feed this other offspring. It's one of those little bizarre things in nature that just spring up and remind me that nature is horrifying and humanity needs to keep it in check. Again, wildfires. Firefighters, you guys are awesome. Especially when it comes to dealing with a wildfire. That is some incredibly difficult and dangerous work. So, moving on from that. So that's basically the dictionary meaning of the term cuckold. Now, it has another meaning that it has apparently taken on, because... And this is where it starts to get a little less family-friendly here. Yeah, I know, like it ever was. Basically, as with anything, if something exists, there are going to be humans that enjoy it in a sexual manner. Basically, the other term for cuckold is apparently there are some people that are very excited by this. Like, they like their significant other. They like to watch their significant other get boned by another person. Now, this fetish is actually gender equal, because there are women that like watching their men with other people, and then there's men who like watching their women with other people. And of course, I'm sure this also applies to gay couples. Like a man likes watching his man with someone else, and a woman likes watching her woman with someone else. And you know what? As with all things, so long as it involves consenting adults and no one's getting harmed or touched in ways that they don't accept, you know what? That's fine. It's not the weirdest thing I have ever heard of. I don't think it's anything that I would be particularly into, but it's not the weirdest thing I've heard of. There's other things that are stranger. So yeah, don't think I'm ever going to be getting into that one. So that's where that insult comes from, because it of course got turned into an insult. Now, how did it get turned into an insult? Because it's a sexual fetish. It's a fetish. People have fetishes, and again, so long as it's all consenting adults, and then it's fine. But it got turned into an insult primarily by the political right. And by political right, I don't mean your run-of-the-mill right people. I mean like these are the people that are political in a way to such an intensity that they're clearly compensating for a lack of something in their lives. I don't know what it is, but they're compensating for a lack of something. Because there's being passionate, and then there is filling the void in your personality with blind fanaticism. And of course, there are people on the left like this as well. There are also people there are people that are radically religious, and there are also people that are obnoxiously atheist. Listen, being an atheist doesn't make you smarter. Being religious doesn't make you a good person. You basically have to stand on your own merits as a person. Sadly enough, I'm very sorry. You can't just associate yourself with a group and take on the positive aspects of that group. You gotta be an individual. So, the political right, the severe political right, likes to use this as an insult. And basically, what the insult means, apparently, again, with a little bit of digging, a little bit of interpretation, effectively where I got with this, and a bit of asking, because it never hurts to ask, honestly. I'll go up to a crazy progressive leftist, and I'll ask them about their opinions, because honestly, I want to know what drives these people. Some of them are incredibly passionate about it, and I want to know what they're thinking. It's interesting. And you know what? They might know something that I don't, or they might think in a certain way that I can agree with. Unfortunately, most of them just scream at me, but the ones that I have actually gotten to stop screeching and have a civil conversation, usually after they've taken their meds, it's somewhat enlightening. I'm still nowhere near the progressive end of the spectrum. That being said, I'm nowhere near the super right end of the spectrum either, because I've tried talking to them. They're a little bit more open to conversation, I found, but they are just as belligerent when you actually sit them down and get a conversation. And they will also fling insults just as readily. So no one is exempt here. Which, of course, according to the progressives, means that I am a crazy right person, and according to the crazy right people, I am a nut-o-progressive. Because I didn't agree wholeheartedly with their beliefs. But then again, fanatics. What are you going to do? Well, laugh at them for I came here to laugh at you. So, back to the reasonable discussion. Now, what the insult... Wow, 9 minutes in, and I'm finally getting to this. What the insult cuck means online is basically a weak-willed person that does not stand for their own self-interests and will allow other people to take all of their dignity, rights, and property, is effectively what it means. That's the crazy right insult, is what that means. That's the root, that's where it was taken from, that's its origins in nature. I think I've pretty much covered this, but basically, if you ever see anyone call another person a cuck, it's because they're calling them a weak-willed person that just gives everything away. to more aggressive people. Which, you know, that actually is something that's something that does exist, I believe. There are some people that are extreme doormats, and they're extreme doormats in such a way that they encourage people that are incredibly greedy or selfish to just take, take, and take. And because they weren't stopped at them, or because they were encouraged by them, they'll simply move on to the next person now that they've been emboldened. So I guess I'm still not going to use that particular term, because it seems like a strange and awkward term, and I generally don't fling insults at people in such a way. If I fling an insult at somebody, I generally want to be able to speak with them, and generally speaking, I lay out why I dislike them or what they're doing in very clear terms. And of course, I hope in turn that they'll lay out why they might dislike me or what I do. Because again, if you disagree with somebody, even if you dislike somebody, you can always either find common ground or at the very least understand why you don't like each other. Because if you understand why you don't like each other, that actually might reveal something about yourself. Because if you know what you don't like, then you can ask yourself, why? Why do I not like this? Because it might be based in things that don't matter. You always have to have a logical reason. You have to have a logical reason for liking things, most of the time, and you have to have a logical reason for disliking things. This requires a lot of self-reflection, and it requires a lot of internal dialogue. And yeah, not everyone wants to do that, because quite frankly, there aren't enough bloody hours in the day to go to work, shower, cook, eat, and maintain a healthy lifestyle and still do this. You know, this is what weekly drinking sessions with your friends are for. But only if it's legal. Again, I feel like I have to throw a disclaimer on absolutely everything I say these days. But again, it's one of the realities of the world we live in now, especially if you're putting something up on social media at like 4 a.m. in the morning, like I am. Oh, 4 a.m. in the morning. Oh, that's so irresponsible. Yeah, well, you know what? Not if you have a really late shift. Not if you have a really late shift. And then, of course, well, my hours are going to be getting changed, so that's a good thing. Well, this has been a nice little 12-minute video, and I hope you all have enjoyed it. I am One More Voice, and I hope that all of you have a very nice day.